Man, oh man, we are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. I don't want to do this live show tonight, but holy smokes, you're talking about Cloak and Dagger, Michigan. Welcome in. Welcome into College Football's Peek Around the Corner. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so, ring that notification bell. Anytime we come on live or do an episode, you get notified. Smash that like button if you like our content. Just smash away because it helps us with the algorithms of YouTube so very much. Share the video with your family and friends. It helps us if you share it on your social media platforms. And welcome on in. Welcome on in. If you want to donate to this show, we don't do memberships. The only way we stay alive is through your donations. Hit the $sign when we make a comment, and we'll get to your comment as soon as we possibly can. Welcome on into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a PATC legend. With your phone calls, with your comments, the Michigan scandal grows. I'm going to read you an article from Pete Thamel, ESPN, that just broke. Maybe a lot of you haven't seen it yet. And Ask the Live Music. Ask the Live Music was playing and the drum solo was going on. Ross Dellinger dropped an article. I read I got to read about 5 sentences. Holy smokes. So once we get through the ESPN article, we're going to go to the Ross Dellinger article of Yahoo Sports. So the monologue might take some time. We're going to get to your comments and phone calls as soon as we can. And I just want to say to the Michigan Wolverine fans, I have nothing against Michigan. Nothing. I grew up watching Michigan. I'm a Minnesota Golden Gopher. This Michigan is going to be Michigan once again. I know a lot of you are mad at me. This is one of the things when you do a national college football show like I do, I get people mad at me. The list of fan bases that have been mad at me for the last 14 months probably extends to at least, well, there's a lot of them. For all reasons, all different reasons. So I get it. I've got a lot of people unsubscribing to the channel. I get it. People in the chat, they've been mad at me for one reason or the other. I get it. I hope you come back. I hope you come back. And again, I understand where the Michigan Wolverine fans are at. I get it. I've gotten all the comments on Twitter. I've gotten the comments on our YouTube chat. I've gotten DMs, really salty DMs. I get it. I understand. I give you a complete pass. The Michigan beat writers, some of them, I'm not giving them a pass. They're being intellectually dishonest when they're discussing. They can have a difference of opinion, but they're still equating. They're still conflating. They're still mixing stealing signs and stealing during a game and stealing signs in person scouting. But we don't have time to go there tonight. We're going to go right into the Pete Thamel article. Then we're going to go to the Ross Dellinger article. Put down your comments, even if you disagree with Pete Thamel, Ross Dellinger, or myself. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming on in. Bruce Harris, Boomer, Curtis Brown, Reckham, Richard L. It's a twofer today. We've had twofers before. I think we're going to get them in the future when it comes to the ACC drama. Keep your head on a swivel. You never know what's going to happen in college football. The Walking Geek is in the house. Kyle Visser, your Golden Gophers dominated the Hawkeyes. Nah, we didn't dominate the Hawkeyes. No, we did not. Hawkeyes couldn't move the ball, but Gophers, come on. 4 field goals. Not a domination. Ryan Matson is in the house. Sky Umar, Randy Taylor, Kalen's dad. Is UNC pretty much a lock to the Big Ten? No, I would not go that far. Our killer robots still running amok in Oregon. Thank you so much for your super chat, Tony. I haven't heard any more about that story. I have not heard any more about that story. Thank you for coming on in. Gopher Tony. Mr. Hoosier's in the house. Greg's been a busy Gopher today. Thank you, Daniel, for coming on in. Joe Z's in the house. West Virginia guy's in the house. He's focusing on Neil Brown, Coy, Cougar Tracks. Laura Weiss, the Red Raider, is in the house. Anthony Carlson is in the house. A lot of people saying, look, you're on again, Greg. Wait till I read you the story. The new reports. Michigan scandal grows. It's nationwide. And before, I want to thank everybody for coming on in. I appreciate it. And before we get to the articles, I put this on Twitter right before we went live. This is gone now. This is affecting SEC teams and other teams. You're going to hear about it. The Big Ten now has to protect themselves. They do. Integrity, competition integrity, integrity of competition, being able to look at the SEC and the other conferences and say, yeah, you know what? This is an institution, an athletic department, I should say, or not even athletic department. I'm not going to go there. A football program that, I'm sorry, is completely out of control. Did not either. They were all knew what was going on, or nobody knew what was going on. Either way, it's out of control. And it's affecting schools outside the Big Ten. And you keep reading these reports. We're going to get to it right now. We'll keep reading these reports how angry the Big Ten schools are. Minnesota Golden Gophers just said today that they had to switch their signals because they knew what was going to happen. And so they had to take time switching their signals. Instead, just because you're in-person scouting, just because maybe you didn't recognize all the signals that the other team did because they changed them, because they had to change them, because they knew what you were doing, doesn't make it any better. And before we get to the articles, no. The rule, it doesn't have to be an official scout. The word scout in the rule is scouting. They're using it as a verb, not a noun. So no, you can't send anybody into a stadium to gather information by your cell phone, give it to the team, and then have the team use that to steal your signs. That's in-person scouting, and it doesn't have to be a scout. You can argue against the rule. A lot of people have, that's fine. You can even have a little bit of a different interpretation of the rule. That's fine. We can have a different interpretation of the punishment. I don't think it's going to be much at all. Other people think it's going to be gigantic. All that is fine. But have an honest intellectual conversation about this. And a lot of people are failing. A lot of Michigan beat writers are failing, even tonight. I'm very disappointed in that. Michigan fans, I'm not disappointed in. The beat writers, some of the people who cover this, holy smokes. Okay, let's get to the Pete Thamel article. Thank you all for coming on in. Here we go. Buckle up. Buckle up. This is Pete Thamel, just released less than an hour ago, and then when we get through this, we got to go through the Ross Dellinger article. The scope of the alleged illicit scouting ring being orchestrated by suspended Michigan analyst Connor Stalions continues to grow. As sources told ESPN on Tuesday that he bought tickets for games at 4 schools outside of the Big Ten that were either in the college football playoff contention or playing contenders. There's also his record of Stalions buying tickets to the 2021 to the 2022 SEC title games, sources told ESPN. The tickets to the SEC title game were purchased on a secondary market, according to sources. ESPN also learned that Stalions, who was at the center of the NCAA investigation into Michigan's alleged sign stealing operation, bought tickets to a 12th Big Ten school, as sources at 12 of the 13 possible Big Ten schools have a record of Stalions buying a ticket there. ESPN reported on Monday there were 11 schools, but it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. Later in the article, you're going to read that the one remaining Big Ten school that doesn't have record of Stalions buying tickets to their game doesn't have the ability to go into the secondary market and figure that out. At least not right now. It's probably 13 for 13. According to 4 sources, all of the tickets for games outside the Big Ten involved college football playoff contenders and were purchased either toward the middle or the end of the 2022 season. Man, I get it. If you don't want to watch this, live show, I get it. Because PATC is well past the point of debating if this is a scandal or not. Where last week I said, I don't know, 25 times Michigan could be 100% innocent of all these allegations. Well, we're so far past that. We are so far past that. The Big Ten announced last week that Michigan is under NCAA investigation for the alleged sign stealing operation. The Wolverines are the number 2 team in the country and current betting favorite to win the national title. Soon after, ESPN reported that Stalions had emerged as the centerpiece of the NCAA's investigation into Michigan's sign stealing scheme on Friday, the school suspended him with pay. Since that time, schools around the country, not just the Big Ten, have been checking their ticket data, which includes the secondary market in most cases, to see if Stalions purchased tickets to their games. So far, let's just say it again. Wow, a lot of money. A lot of money. Stalions is using a lot of money. Who's giving him that money? So far, ESPN has confirmed that Stalion has purchased tickets to more than 35 games at 17 different stadiums around the country. I bet that number grows, at least a few more. He has used a network of at least 3 different people who were forwarded the tickets to attend the games. A source told ESPN on Tuesday that the NCAA has been sent at least an hour of video evidence that shows a person sitting in a seat appearing to tape the home sideline with a smartphone. Stalions purchased the ticket for that seat. The video is expected to be used as part of the investigation to show that electronics were used in the signal stealing ring, according to sources. It's being called by ESPN and probably by people in the Big Ten, probably by people in the NCAA, a signal stealing ring. Unless something happens right now, it's irrelevant, said a source on a Big Ten campus, underscoring the frustration around the league. Everyone is mad. This is not right. But what is the NCAA going to do about it? Although the NCAA is leading the investigation into Michigan, the Big Ten could take action against the school before the probe is complete, sources told ESPN's Adam Rittenberg on Tuesday. The Big Ten sportsmanship policy states that Commissioner Tony Petitti has the exclusive authority to determine whether offensive actions have occurred and to impose discipline for members. The policy lists integrity of the competition as a fundamental element that all Big Ten schools are expected to uphold. Institutions are responsible for the actions of its employees and for cooperating with the league during an investigation. Now, we're going to read more into this article and probably into the Yahoo Sports article right after this. But for me, there's a little bit of confusion on how much Tony Petitti, the discipline for the member school. I don't think he has the ability. I think he has some guardrails on that discipline. Here we go. The Big Ten has 2 categories for the discipline. The first includes fines that don't exceed $10,000 and suspensions of no more than 2 contests, which is interesting. The second, for major disciplinary action, requires approval from an executive committee made up of representatives of different schools, which can deny proposed penalties or reduce them, but not add to them. The Big Ten's penalties for Michigan State from the fight with Michigan in the Michigan Stadium tunnel in 2022 were an example of a major disciplinary action. A source told ESPN that the Big Ten would want to have as full of a picture of what the facts actually are if we were to act. Well, that picture is really come into focus. There's not much left to the picture. Other than the money, yeah, there's still some more to go. No question about it. But holy smokes. Holy smokes. Before the NCAA completes its investigation, which likely would not occur until sometime in 2024. Again, the NCAA they're not going to finish their investigation anytime soon. And here's Michigan, 8-0, 5-0, forcing everybody to... Let's get through this article. In a statement, last week, Michigan's Jim Harbaugh denied illegally stealing signs and said he had never directed any staff member or others to participate in an off-campus scouting assignment. The NCAA enforcement timelines are notoriously slow. Michigan's still under investigation for recruiting violations. We don't have to go through that. The emergence of Stalions purchasing tickets at 3 college football playoff contenders outside the Big Ten reflects the potential breadth of the operation, which sources told ESPN last week was elaborate. Again, this affecting other schools outside the Big Ten. For me personally, I believe the Big Ten now really has to act for the integrity of the conference, for God's sakes. After ESPN reported on Monday that sources at 11 of the possible 13 Big Ten schools had confirmed Stalions bought a ticket in his name at their stadium. Another source at a 12th Big Ten school found a record of Stalions purchasing a ticket at their stadium. The school, I mentioned this earlier, the school that didn't find Stalions in the records does not have access to search names in the secondary markets. So the chances are Stalions bought tickets to all 13 stadiums in the Big Ten for in-person scouting. Connect the dots. The dots are connecting themselves. According to the source, the ticket was purchased across from the visiting sideline for the game against Ohio State. We went through all that. Ohio State, Penn State earlier. And those tickets were not used after Stalions' name emerged. There was tickets bought on both sides of the Ohio State Stadium, Ohio State versus Penn State, and of course those tickets were not used because Stalions' name was brought up in this potential big Michigan scandal, which is only growing. And I'm going to finish the article. Big Ten official also declined further comment. On Monday, the league told ESPN the league considers the integrity of competition to be of the utmost importance. Well, if that's the case, they're going to have to move on this. Ryan Thomas, thank you so much for your super chat, for your generosity. I appreciate it. Harbaugh must be posturing for Belichick's job. Either Jim Harbaugh knew about it, man, that is bad. Or he didn't know about it, that is bad. I mean, excuse my language, but only a knucklehead would not know this was going on. You've seen the pictures. You've seen Stalions sitting there, standing next to the defensive coordinator when Michigan's on defense. Sitting next to the Michigan offensive coordinator when Michigan's on offense. You've seen the placard. I'm sorry, I can't remember the guy's name. Ohio State does a good podcast, YouTube. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. Troy or Roy. He took pictures of the Ohio State-Michigan game last year. There's a placard with signs and signals. We don't even have to get into that. There is mounting and growing evidence of the breadth of this scandal. Before I get into, it wasn't Kevin Noon. Tom Orr. Thank you, Kirk Bender. Tom Orr, he took pictures of the Ohio State-Michigan game last year, somewhere on the sidelines. He wasn't trying to take pictures of the Michigan coaching staff. His focus were on the players. But he caught some very interesting pictures. Go to Thamel or his Twitter account. There's a placard in which, in this particular picture, the Michigan offensive coordinator had a big placard, big white sheet with some dark human figures, pictures of them with different signals, and who knows what those signals were, but everything looks suspicious. Fake Tom Osborne, thank you for the super chat. They'll likely get a slap on the wrist, some meaningless fine. Big Ten will end up with a big black eye, and the jokes will last for ages. Thank you so much for your super chat, for your generosity, Fake Tom Osborne. I appreciate it. I appreciate you helping us keep the lights on. Yeah, this gets back. We started the show on it. We got to get to Ross Dellinger's article, because I think he's going to expose this even more. This now, the waves of this have gone beyond the Big Ten shores. So Greg Sankey, other conferences are going to be looking at this. And Big Ten is going to have to act. The evidence is still rolling in. Jim Harbaugh should not be on the sidelines. He should be taken off the sidelines. Michigan at least has to do that. Stalions is suspended. The lead guy of your football program, Jim Harbaugh, suspended with pay. The very least. That should happen tonight, tomorrow. Why not? I don't understand it. Come on, man. Okay. Let's get real for a moment here. Jim Harbaugh is either complicit in all this and have just lied to you again, athletic director, or he's not complicit in any of this and he's a bumbling idiot. He's a figurehead. Either way, I mean, good gracious. Stalions up along the side of the sidelines with the with the defensive coordinator, with the offensive coordinator. There's video of Stalions shouting in to the mentor, to the defensive coordinator's ears, and mentor shouting to the field. Jim Harbaugh has got a headset on. He hears that. He hears the communication. Come on. Let's, again, I don't have to worry about keeping my access to anybody or anything. On this show, we call it like it is. And if you disagree, that's fine. You can call it like how you call it. But my goodness, Jim Harbaugh is complicit in all of this, or he's not even there. I mean, he's not even there up here. He doesn't know what's going on. If he doesn't know what's going on, he's not worth that salary. He's not worth no NFL franchise. When Jim Harbaugh interviewed for the Minnesota Vikings job, he was a lock. Why didn't he not get it? The Minnesota report says that he went in there unprepared. He thought he already had the job. He was arrogant as all get out, and he was odd. And they said, no, we're not going down with Jim Harbaugh. I don't know. He's either complicit or he's out of it. Allegedly. Now, we're not done. We're not done. We're not close to done. Thank you for the super chats. Again, there's a lot of comments. I'll try to get to them. If you put down a $, put down a donation, I'll get to it quicker. I'll get to it as fast as I possibly can. We got another oh my. It's very difficult to keep up. Let's put it that way. I'm going to do the best I can. Holy smokes. Here we go. Buckle up, everybody. Buckle up. Brace for impact. Sources: Ross Dellinger, senior college football reporter, Michigan assistant at the Center of NCAA Investigation, purchased tickets to potential college football playoff opponents. On the morning of October 24th, 2022, as the 7-0 Michigan Wolverines entered the Monday of their bye week, a young recruiting analyst on staff opened a secondary market ticket website, selected a seat in Neyland Stadium for the Tennessee Volunteers' upcoming game against Kentucky, and punched his credit card information. That analyst, of course, was none other than Connor Stalions, the now suspended Michigan staff member at the center of the NCAA investigation into illicit sign stealing. Stalions' alleged in-person scouting for the college football games went beyond Michigan's Big Ten opponents. He purchased tickets to games involving teams that the Wolverines might meet in the college football playoff as well. One of those included Tennessee, who at the point was undefeated and ranked number 3 in the country, having beaten Alabama 2 weeks prior. Sources within the program released information on Stalions' ticket purchasing under the condition of anonymity. I mean, hey Stalions, you're like a master intelligence guy, former Marine. You're using your own credit card for all these purchases? Good Lord. At 11:42 a.m. that day, Stalions purchased a single ticket to the Tennessee-Kentucky game on October 28, 2022. 3 minutes later, he transferred the ticket to another person. That person did use the ticket, attending the game, sitting in a seat positioned opposite of Tennessee's sideline, in range of the viewing the coaching staff signals, a source confirmed to Yahoo Sports. And that's why we're doing a live show tonight. The scandal has grown. Now, whatever actions or inactions the Big Ten does, they have to answer to the SEC. How many tickets have Stalions bought in 2023 to SEC schools or other contending schools for the playoffs? ESPN reported Monday that Stalions purchased tickets to 30 games involving Big Ten teams, but he also booked tickets to several games involving the college football playoff contenders in what appears to be an elaborate web of in-person scouting against NCAA rules. In-person scouting. It doesn't have to be a scout. It doesn't have to be a staff member. It doesn't have to be an employee. Somebody going there to scout, to try to get the signals, figure them out, film them. It looks like it was a filming operation. Bring it back to Stalions so he can use it. It doesn't have to be a scout. If I see that one more time on Twitter, holy smokes, pull your head out of you know what. It doesn't have to be a scout. It doesn't have to be a staff member. It doesn't have to be an employee that's at the game. Not difficult. Very simple. Very simple to understand. He purchased tickets involving several more teams, most of them at the time in line for the college football playoffs or participating championship games. Those teams are believed to be Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, and Oregon. Who, by the way, is going to become a Big Ten member school next year. He bought tickets to the 2021, 2022 SEC championship games, according to sources familiar with the information. Like the Tennessee case, Stalions purchased a ticket to the Oregon-Washington game on November 12th and then immediately transfer the ticket to another person. The seat was facing the Oregon sideline. The Ducks at that time were ranked number 15th in the country. The scope, the breadth of this, the intentions of this. This in-person scouting has been prohibited since 1994. It is not filled with ambiguity. It is clear as a bell. Stealing an opponent's signals during a game or even from television broadcasts is quite common in college football and is not against NCAA rules. However, the NCAA's investigation is more focused on how Michigan Stallions gain information on its opponents to learn signals in advance. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Television broadcasts are not valuable in stealing signals. And guess what? All 22 tape doesn't show the sidelines, the coaching staff, the signals. So again, there's people on Twitter, YouTube channels saying, well, this shouldn't even be a rule. This is not even, you can go to a YouTube channel and do an all 22 tape and watch it. You can get the signals that way, so who cares? No, you can't. Anybody who's watched an all 22 tape, no, you can't. That is why, what do you think, Stalions is going to spend all this money on tickets? All this money on travel? Sending people everywhere? Organizing this thing? If he could get the signals from a broadcast TV tape or an all 22 tape? Of course he can. That's why he's doing it. Again, let me know how wrong I got it in the comment section and the phone calls. If the school learned information through scouting future opponents' games in person, that violates a near 30-year-old NCAA rule. If the school learned information through the use of recording or video devices, that violates another NCAA bylaw, and they got that as well. Michigan got. They got on both. Harbaugh's involvement or knowledge of the alleged scheme is unclear. Well, again, if he doesn't know this is happening, then he's not even involved in his team. Sign stealing, even to this magnitude, is an issue that provokes disagreement from ethical standpoint. One Big Ten school source described Michigan sign stealing system as an elaborate scheme and relied on a combination of video footage and in-person recordings, and something that should be banned. Of course it should be banned. Another paint a picture. If you don't like it, stop it. What do you mean if you don't like it, stop it? What does that even mean? How are you supposed to stop it? That makes no sense. Whoever that staff member is doesn't have 3 brain cells put together in his noggin. Either way, the scheme, now dating back at least 3 years, has been known to those in the Big Ten for at least a year. Michigan didn't pick up on this? News of the sign stealing spread through that multiple Michigan opponents this season dropped the signaling and used wristbands for much of the offensive play calling during the game against the Wolverines. As reported by Yahoo Sports on Friday, photos and video of Stalions during games have emerged of him standing on the sideline near the Michigan coaches while gesturing and gripping a white sheet, presumably with opponent play call signals. There it is. Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia. Who else is involved here? Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Oregon. Wow. The guy was a rogue videotaping addict. You know what? That could be, you know what? Maybe the guy just wanted to impress Jim Harbaugh and the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, and he did this completely rogue. That at least has some, has some value to that argument. But where did he get the money? And nobody in the coaching staff asked him why he was so accurate on his hand signal stealing. I don't know. I just, it really is. Kevin Bacon at the end of Animal House, all is well. Did they scout TCU? No, they didn't. No, they did not. TCU, and we did that. We did that watch party game. We did a watch party. We did both semifinal games. And hold on one second. And I was complaining the whole time that Michigan lost that game in the locker room because they sat there and blitzed TCU the whole game. And you don't want to blitz Matt Duggan in that TCU offense. I talked about a pregame. And then Michigan went and blitzed all the time. And no, they did not know what TCU was about to do. Hold on one second here. Okay. Clearly, Greg is using bogus rules to flip losses, ginning up scandals to vacate another loss to help the Gophers back in the national championship. I don't think Michigan's going to be vacating. How do I say this? Even if Michigan did vacate, whoever played him don't pick up the wins. That has never happened historically, I don't believe. When the Minnesota Golden Gophers vacated all their wins in the basketball scandal of 1996-97, all the team, when they won the Big Ten championship, all those teams did not gain a win on their records because Minnesota vacated. So I don't believe it could ever get to that point. Mireya, turn the air conditioning on. Turn the air conditioning on. Studio needs air. All right, thank you, hon. I can already feel it. Thank you very much. I'm burning back here. I'm burning. Yeah, and then, and then I suspect Craig's motives. No, peek, I know you guys are joking. Peek around the corner. We go where the story goes. We go where the story goes. And the story is, it's a growing scandal in Michigan. This is a scandal. Now, what's the punishment? I do not know. But this puts the Big Ten on the clock. Because the scandal has now, the waves have gone beyond the Big Ten shores. Don't you agree with me on that? I mean, my goodness. And everybody, not everybody you talk to, but everybody that I talk to, this is a big advantage. If a team has your hand signals in-person scouting before the game even starts, and you don't know that they have them, it's a big deal. Now, Michigan, they're 8-0. They could be 8-0 no matter what. They were going to blow out these teams no matter what. But again, what happened last year? What happened the year before when teams did not know? And then teams has to force to change their signals, which takes a lot of time. Can't work on other things through the week. These are student athletes. You don't have much time with them during the week as it is. You're working on the game plan. Now you got to work on different hand signals, wristbands. Hopefully next year they use the electronics. So there is no hand signals. But this is about what has happened. And it looks like this was huge. Huge operation. It involves more than just the Big Ten schools. Tony's saying a postseason ban. Can it be a postseason ban for this year? What's going to happen if Michigan wins the Big Ten, goes to the college football playoffs, and they're playing against a Georgia or an Alabama or an Oregon? Now, I know this was last year that they bought the tickets, but who's going to trust that they didn't buy tickets this year and have scouts on their hand signals this year? Who's going to trust this? There's always going to be a black cloud hanging over this whole thing. Not that Michigan's got a great football team. Nobody is going to challenge that. But this is against the rules. They broke it big time. 37 games, at least 17 different stadiums, and that's what we know of. People are still looking. People are still finding more and more, and they're gonna, I bet, well, there's no question about it, they're gonna find more and more surveillance videos inside the stadiums where these people were sitting in the seats that Stalions bought, and they're going to be shown videotaping the game with their phone, with their laptop, whatever, with the camera, for goodness sake. Who knows? But there's going to be more and more and more of that. The intentions were to steal the hand signals of a future opponent, figure it all out way in advance, build these placards, have everybody on the sidelines all ready. Man. Steve McNeely, Michigan fans are going to get a wake-up call. This is a great Michigan football team. J.J. McCarthy. Stealing the hand signals. If I was a Michigan fan and once I got over this, I'd be upset at Michigan. I'd be upset at Harbaugh. What are you doing? You got this great football team. Now there's going to be a cloud hanging over us no matter what. You've got a football team that can win everything. You're stealing all these signs, and look how they did it. Stalions is using his own credit card for... What is going on? There is... Either Jim Harbaugh was completely involved in this, and man, if he is, he can't be coaching anymore. Even, okay, let's say, what other rules is he breaking, for goodness sake? Honestly, what else is there? If he knows what's going on and he's breaking the rules, or if he has no control over his program and they're breaking the rules and doesn't know what's going on, what is he doing there? What is the exact brilliance of Jim Harbaugh? And I know, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. If you're cheating and you're not, and if you get caught, and you get caught like this, you ain't trying either. In fact, you just wounded your football program, didn't you? The lengths that people are going to defend this and make it like it is outstanding. I don't blame, at this point, I don't blame Michigan Wolverines fans. I'd be upset, and I would be probably lashing out, acting out. But man, some of these, I could name the names. I'm not going to, but if you're following my Twitter account at Flug Empire, my X account, you can see who I've been talking to. I'm absolutely stunned about the intellectual dishonesty of some of what they're saying. I can show them to you. I won't. Jim Bagley, thanks again for your super chat. Thanks again for your generosity to the show. I appreciate it. Harbaugh will be gone to the NFL before the punishment is handed out. It's a shame that the punishment will not impact him. Exactly. There very well could be a bowl ban for next year. And the players on the team are going to be penalized for that. A playoff ban, a bowl ban for next year. Next year they're going to be a great team. They're not going to have J.J. McCarthy. They're going to have a great team, and they're going to have a bowl ban. Probably. And Jim Harbaugh is not going to be affected. Great point, Jim Bagley. Thank you once again for your generosity. I appreciate it so very much. Eisman 57, Mr. Hot Guy, joining late. Not sure if you mentioned this, but there's some high-profile ex-college football personality saying Michigan isn't alone in this type of spying. Tell us who they are. Give us the information. What schools also do this? I'm not big on everybody does this defense. Not big on it. It's been a rule since 1994. It's real simple, real obvious. These ex-college football personalities, how would they know? First of all, but if they know, then spill the beans. Tell the NCAA. Because I can tell you, the grand majority of schools, I'm talking the big majority, is not doing this at all. This is a taboo. You do not do this. Schools do not want to sit and spend their time switching their hand signals every week. They don't have the time for that. Until they get electronics in the helmets, they don't want to do this. They don't want to. You know how much an advantage it is to know your team's hand signals before the game starts? It's the percentages, man. Just because you know your team's opponent's hand signals before the game starts doesn't mean you're not going to get beat on a play. Doesn't mean you're not going to get fooled. But man, you've increased your chances. And I'm sorry, but some of these games are so close. Michigan blows away 90% of the competition. But in those couple of games that are close against teams that have the student athletes, the skill that can be measured in the same tier as Michigan, knowing the hand signals before the game starts is a great advantage. Teams don't do this. They just don't. They don't. And if a couple are, then these college football personalities, let the NCAA know. I appreciate Eisman 57, the super chat. Thank you so much for your continued generosity to this channel. Thank you, Mr. Hot Guy. I appreciate it very much. Tom DeBay, Greg, keep up the high integrity stance and work. Thank you, Mr. DeBay. I appreciate your incredible generosity to the show. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Again, I've taken a big hit. This show, I'm very friendly with a lot of Michigan fans on this show, in the chat, phone calls, on Twitter for years. And I understand their anger. And I get it. And I get it. So for me, they all get a pass. They can be mad at me for 3 years. I just hope in year 4 they come back. Give me another shot. I've had so many, to be honest with you, to do this show and do the way we do it, you know, I got to have people mad at me because it's just how I got to call it like I see it. Gopher fans, you should see the message boards. When I said they were going to go 6-6 this year. Oregon and Washington fans, there was a message board, there was a whole thread created saying that Greg gave us false hope, that Fox didn't really want us in the Big Ten. They were crushing me. I've been crushed so many places in so many different ways. So I get it. Now it's Michigan fans, they're mad at me. Someday it's going to be whatever fans. Whoever you are aligned with, you're going to be mad at me at some point. College football, full of drama. Thank you so much, Tom DeBay. I appreciate your generosity. I appreciate it so very much, helping us keep the lights on here at Peek Around the Corner. We have got to get to your phone calls. I'm sorry, I'm late on that. My apologies. Let me just clean up a few things here. Again, phone line, the number is 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Again, you can talk about anything college football. We're focusing on this Michigan growing scandal, which now has involved more schools outside the Big Ten. If you disagree with anything I've said, that's okay. Let me know what you think I've got wrong. Put out your opinion. Or you can go another way. You can say, Greg, the punishment should be this. They should finish the investigation soon. Or they're not going to be able to finish the investigation soon. This is what's going to happen to Jim Harbaugh. How upset is Michigan going to be at the Big Ten if the Big Ten comes down and does a bowl ban for 2024, possibly 2025? However you want to take this, however angle you want to take it, go right ahead. Call us at 763-260-1333.
Call from
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan Thomas, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, my good man. What do you think?
I'm telling you, Wolverines, they are sneaky animals, Greg. They are sneaky animals.
They're tough animals too. Yep.
Yeah, they are. They're vicious. So, this is it's sort of funny. I mean, right now, Jim Harbaugh's got the "I'm not a crook" thing going.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, if you knew about it, he had to have known at it at some level, because for him not to be aware of stuff like that, that someone would have gotten wind of it and would have got passed along to him.
Yes.
Like you said, it's either he's neck deep in this stuff or he's a bumbling idiot. And I don't think he's a bumbling idiot.
I don't think he's a bumbling idiot. So I agree, Ryan. I agree, man.
I mean, it's sort of now, to Jared and Mullen, your Buckeyes have to set this right at the end of the season. You gotta set it right.
Yeah, I don't know. Michigan's real good. They're a great football team.
And that's the problem. I mean, they are probably, in my mind, they're the number one team in the country in my mind.
Yeah.
The SEC's having a down year, and I just don't. Georgia's had some lackluster performances so far this year, and I think right now Michigan probably is the best team in the country. I'd put Washington up there at number 2, but that's my opinion, and certainly FSU and and Ohio State are also up there. So we'll see how that develops, but it's crazy, Greg.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, my friend.
It's crazy.
If Harbaugh gets fired, I have a message to Michigan. Please hire Kyle Whittingham. That would be the nicest thing you could do for us. That would be the nicest thing you could do, because Utah's program would take a nosedive out.
I thought you were coming at it from a different angle. Okay, you're coming from a BYU. Got it. How you guys
so
kill me.
Please hire Whittingham. So
you guys kill me.
Everyone in the state.
Yeah.
So we can flip that around.
I thought you were being gracious. Wanted Michigan to get a guy who's above board, but you've got other motivations. Okay.
Whittingham would be a good fit for Michigan. Actually, he really would be.
Yeah, he would.
And given how things are materializing for him, if he wants to win a national championship, Michigan, he would have all the resources and talent and money to do that.
Yeah.
So and plus being in the Big Ten, he'd probably his teams would probably have more of a chance of getting one of those, either the automatic conference championship bid or the at-large bid. So, I mean, he'd have a shot at it. So, who knows? But I think it'd be good for him. And, but I've got some selfish reasons there too, Greg. So, I mean, but that's all I have tonight. Hopefully this comes to not, like, I don't really know what the Big Ten can do from a discipline standpoint, but it will take care of it. But I'm sure that Tony Petitti is probably not happy to have to deal with this, but but it's how it is. But and other than that, Jim Harbaugh, the Patriots to the Spygate, he'd fit right in. Belichick retires. Bob Kraft should just give Harbaugh a call. So that's all I got, Jim. That's all I got.
Got it. Yeah, no problem. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you, man. Cleveland Rocks. It's about the money. Fox and ESPN will never permit Michigan being banned as they draw large viewing numbers. The NCAA is a paper tiger. They are a joke. Thank you, Cleveland Rocks. Appreciate the super chat for your generosity. Thank you so very much. I think Michigan is going to get a bowl ban for 2024. That's just I don't have any inside information on it. The punishment thing is going to be a mystery. Now though, I'm at first I didn't think it was going to be a bowl ban. I thought it'd be lots of scholarships, but now, man, the Big Ten has to show out here. The NCAA investigation is going to take a while, but the Big Ten, they're going to have to come on in big. Thank you so much, Cleveland Rocks. I appreciate your generosity. Thank you. John Teal, more super chats way at the top. Thank you, super chat. Did I miss more super chats at the beginning of the show? Here we go. Michigan should hire Scott Frost. Frost warning. Oh boy.
Call from
Moen.
Moen, can you hold on 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
I apologize. I'm doing a bad job here once again. Well, John, hopefully that was the one I missed. More super chats way at the top. Thank you, John, for your super chat, your generosity. I appreciate it. I always have a hard time at the beginning of the show when I'm doing my monologue. I get behind on the comments section. Greg, say hi to Jessica and Joel. Hi, Jessica and Joel. Okay, Moen, I apologize. Well, Moen, I tell you what. You have been, and I think in the future, you have been accurate on the ball with this big story. Holy smokes. What do you think, man? What are you thinking?
Well, I think it's interesting that people are worried about student athletes at Michigan getting a bowl ban.
Yeah.
What about all the student athletes who had to play Michigan with an unfair advantage?
Yeah.
Why isn't anybody worried about them?
Yeah.
Those kids at Michigan, they can jump in the portal. I mean, it's not like they're not going to find homes on other teams if Michigan gets hit with a bowl ban.
Yeah.
And, it's like the sign says, those who stay will be champions. Well, I guess if you cheat enough, you can be a champion. So maybe they ought to change that sign in the Michigan locker room that says those who cheat will be champions. Because this is a clear case of cheating. There's no other way to put it. It's cheating.
Yeah. It's I think for most people, this story is now grown into a whole different phase, right? It's no longer is Michigan guilty. It's what is the punishment and how fast can it come?
Right. And it's pretty obvious to me that somebody has to know that the defensive coordinator, I mean, if this defensive analyst is giving you a hitting 100%, you're not saying, wow, this is a great defensive analyst. You're saying, wait a second, nobody hits 100%.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball player of all time. Never hit 100% of his shots.
Yes.
He'd always have a miss. So, and then you see the pictures you brought up from Tom Moore that shows the laminated photos on the sidelines of signals. There's other coaches and analysts holding those laminated things, not just him.
Yeah.
So it's pretty obvious it was an extensive network within the Michigan coaching system.
Yes.
So I think they all need to take the fall. Jesse Minter, Jim Harbaugh, Sharon Moore, they all got to take a hit on it. I think they all need to be fired, and I think they all need to have show causes put on them.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I think it's, and you know, and the sources, the reporters, they've got their sources. The sources, there's leakage going on. It's leaking like a sieve. More information's coming. It's just going to grow. It's going to grow. In Moen, Jim Harbaugh cannot be on the sidelines anymore. He just can't.
No, he needs to be fired yesterday.
Yeah, he can't be there no more.
Yeah. No, this should be a situation where he gets to Pete Carroll and walk out the door to the NFL and let Michigan deal with it. Michigan needs to fire him, try and get some of that salary back. This is lack of institutional control. I mean, if this is going on, you either knew about it, cheating, or you didn't know about it. And if you didn't know about it, you've got all these guys on the sideline with laminated pictures of other team signals. That's a lack of institutional control. That's enough to give a school the death penalty. Now, I'm not saying that's what will happen. I'm not saying that's what should happen. But that does demonstrate a lack of institutional control if we're to believe Jim Harbaugh that he knows nothing about this.
Yes. I absolutely agree. And again, you know, like on X, on Twitter, people are arguing that, well, if Michigan knew the hand signals, why didn't they stop this play or that play? I responded to one of those, and these are not just comments from, you know, one of us fans. This is beat writers. This is people who write articles. They're saying things like this, and it's like, it's a game of percentages. Even if you know what's coming, sometimes you're going to get beat, obviously. But what in-person scouting does, it increases the percentages in your favor mightily. I don't get why people don't understand that. I don't get it, Moen.
I would just say for the beat writers, you got to keep in mind, Greg, that they're getting told what to say to keep their access to the program.
And they want to keep their access to their customers as well.
That's right. So, I mean, that's why the one place you can really trust is the Rebel Outpost of college football, because you don't have access to anybody, nor do you need access to anybody, Greg. So
I have access, but it's
you got Rebel access. So
yeah, we've you know, I'm very fortunate that, yes, you're right. I don't need to. I mean, the thing is, if everybody in this chat gets mad at me and stops watching the program, then I'll lose access to all you. But I'm hoping that we have demonstrated some sort of really good record of giving you a peek around the corner in a fair and honorable way. I'm hoping that works in the long run.
Well, that's not even debatable, Greg.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you called Colorado long before anybody else was Colorado. You called Oregon and Washington long before anybody else was. So, you're the Rebel Outpost. You're doing a good job. I just wanted to put out there, hey, I know a lot of people want to put out there, think about the athletes at Michigan, think about the athletes everywhere else.
You're right, Moen.
There's
You're right,
14. There's 13 other teams in the Big Ten. Think about those kids.
Yeah.
Think about the kids at TCU whooped them.
Yep.
But think about what would have happened if Michigan would have won that game and got to play for national championship.
What would have happened if Michigan did scout TCU? They won that game, you know?
Yeah. It was close enough they'd have probably won.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And then all those kids at TCU wouldn't have had a chance to play in the national championship.
Yeah,
Now,
it ain't cool, man.
them, but
This ain't cool. Yeah.
So think about those kids instead. When everybody's worrying about the Michigan players, think about those kids. Those Michigan players that just jumped in the portal.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have, Greg.
Got it. Thank you, Moen. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Mr. Buckeye. We got a lot more phone calls coming in. John Till, thank you for the $2. 3 years of cheating should be a 3-year bowl ban. Holy smokes. John, thank you so much once again for your generosity. I missed a YouTube super chat. I apologize. From O'Toole. I cannot find it. I can't find it. Doesn't get me to this super chat. So, N. O'Toole, I apologize. Thank you so much for your generosity to the program. I appreciate it so very much. And I do apologize. Okay, so phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. Joe Z says, good point. Michigan players shouldn't be punished. They should be permitted to transfer with an extra year of eligibility. Interesting. Very interesting, Joe Z. Medea Flugar, the moderator. Hi, Moen. When am I going to see your eyes? Mireya and I watch Moen Vision's YouTube channel. Take a check it out. Moen Sports. Moen Sports. Check out the YouTube channel. Moen Vision just started a YouTube channel. Does a great job. He's also on with Big 12 rivals. With Mr. Brown, Mr. Wild Ute, Mr. Immaculate. So go check out Moen Sports, Moen Vision. Trying to get to your comments here. So many comments. Unlike my Big Ten foes, Matt, I'm playing devil advocate with our peer Michigan as opposed to getting angry and trigger happy. I do appreciate a different angle to it, Matt. I like when people disagree. Greg was in a sweatbox. He's allowed to miss a post or two. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I apologize, and O'Toole was just saying on 3 Scoop Duck, someone has a picture of a guy video on Oregon sideline when they played Washington, posted before news came out that a ticket was bought. Holy smokes. And I missed that super chat. I'm an idiot. I'm Jim Harbaugh. I'm the fat guy from Minnesota, Jim Harbaugh. I don't know what's going on around me. And O'Toole, I apologize even more now. Holy smokes. Was just saying on 3 Scoop Duck. So, man, someone has a picture of a guy video Oregon sideline when they played Washington, posted it before news came out that a ticket was bought. And O'Toole, does the picture show where exactly that seat is at? Is it like at the 45-yard line, in between the 45-yard lines? Is it a prime seat? If there's a picture, can you Can you forward it? DM to my Twitter account, X account at Flug Empire. You can see it on the ticker when it comes on by. Just see if we can get a picture of, if we can show it here during the show. Thank you so much, O'Toole. I appreciate it. I very much appreciate it. John Till, Dion has openings on both O-line and D-line. So does everybody else. Deion Sanders, yes, he has openings on the O-line, D-line. No question about it. There might be some transfers. Thank you, John, for your super chat. Again, appreciate the generosity to the show. Wow. Matt, quit blaming Michigan for being good. Let's start Lincoln K and go get a win. You guys are killing me. Cleveland rocks. If Greg was in a sweatbox, did Mike Leach put him in it? John Till, using his own credit card was smart because it keeps a paper trail. He wouldn't want them cutting the cord, leaving them in the wind looking like a fruitcake. That brings up a very good point. Matt brings up a very good angle. What about Mr. Stalions? What about him? He's caught dead to right. He's lost his job. He's lost his inability to ever do this again. He's not going to be hired by anybody. He's hired as a recruiting analyst for Michigan. That's his job. But of course, we all know what he's doing, right? So his name, what is he going to do? Is he going to talk? Is he going to lawyer up? Is he going to willing to tell a story for a decent check? Is some booster going to take care of him? Let me ask you another question. And we've asked this before. And this is the next story, part of the story that I'm hoping will drop here soon. Where did he get the money? Where did Mr. Stalions get the money to do all of this? Tickets, primetime seats at the primetime games? The travel? 3 people? Sending them all over the place? Where did he get the money? Who gave him the money? Is Stalions going to squeal? Or is he going to lawyer up? Or is he going to take it? Or is somebody going to offer him some money to come on a program, a college football YouTube program, and spill the beans? Mr. Stalions is like Lee Harvey Oswald, and it's just a patsy. Is there a Jack Ruby waiting for him? And look, to me, this is like Watergate. Jim Harbaugh is Richard Nixon. Now bear with me here. I know a lot of you are probably way too young to understand or whatever. Richard Nixon said there was layers between him and the people who went into the Watergate building to spy on the Democratic candidates, McGovern's campaign. They sent and they spied on it and they whatever. Richard Nixon didn't have to do that. Richard Nixon was going to win the election in 1972. He won in a blowout. They were going to win that no matter what in a blowout. The Democratic Party was all fractured up. He just won the 1968 election. McGovern was seen as a far-left candidate. Whatever. Richard Nixon was going to win that election in a blowout no matter what happened. Why is Jim, same thing with Jim Harbaugh. You're going to blow out 90% of these teams. Why are you spies? Kind of the same deal.
Call from
Steve.
Steve, Mr. Bearcat is on the line. The floor is yours. The Michigan scandal grows.
Well, if I'm Tony Petitti, I'm calling President Ono of Michigan. I'm calling Ward Manuel, athletic director. And I say, you guys have your butts in my office at 10 o'clock Thursday with your entire coaching staff, president, athletic director, entire coaching staff in my office. And I want names, and I want the truth. Because we're going to act on this fast. And, well, we don't have anybody for practice Thursday. Tough. You guys get here at 10 o'clock Thursday morning. End of story. Harbaugh has, with the cheeseburger, hamburger, deal, or whatever that was, made light of that crap. He's a clown, and this just shows how big of a clown he really is. You talk about lack of control, and I'm gonna be blunt as I can. He's a liar.
Yeah.
And as long as that administration at that university tolerates that, shame on them. Shame on them. What a sad story. And the reason I'd have the meeting on Thursday, because I'm going to have a Zoom call, and President Ono from Michigan is going to be on it with every other president, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then Thursday, everybody is going to be there. Everybody. And if I'm Petitti, I say, you best. If you want to bring legal counsel, go ahead, because I'll have somebody sitting here. But you best bring some names, or you bring some evidence that none of this happened. And that's how fast the Big Ten should act on this. It's plain and simple.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. And like I said, as far as the administration goes, they keep tolerating his behavior, and think it's okay. He takes a 3-game, suspension. Big deal.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the year. And he made light of it. And he's out doing Jim Harbaugh things. And you know what I'm saying? He's out being Jim Harbaugh. And I'm just telling you, Greg, his act is up. I mean, there's no running away from this. I want anybody to tell me how they get out of this.
I don't know. I don't think they do. There's more stuff coming, and there's so much evidence now with the electronic surveillance, the filming of the games. They're not getting out of it.
Yep.
The only question is the punishment and how quick the punishment, in my opinion.
Yep. It's got to be quick. And I'll tell you what, along with the coaching staff and the administration, bring me the student trainer or the SID or whoever laminated.
Yes. Yep.
Bring them.
Yep.
I want to talk to them.
Yeah.
I want to talk to them.
Yeah, this is a complex scheme. No question about it.
But how can you fumble it so bad? How can you do I mean, Tennessee, or Oregon, how stupid is that? You find somebody that say, go buy a ticket, I'll reimburse you. We don't have a paper trail then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't have a paper trail. Go buy a ticket. I'll send you the money, however, but just go buy a ticket and keep my name out of it. I mean, that's a clown show, and Jim Harbaugh is the main clown. He's the guy. So that's my 2 cents worth of it. I've been thinking about it for the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And the more I think about it, the more I get upset with Harbaugh and his coaching staff and the administration of Michigan, because he's been a problem child more than once when he's been there. And they almost fired him when he couldn't beat Ohio State and when he couldn't come close to winning big games. They almost fired him. And isn't it ironic that it all turned around in the last couple, 3 years? Yeah. How ironic is that? You know, when they're all of a sudden figuring out we can videotape and get hand signals the last couple years.
It's a dark cloud hanging over it now. Yeah.
So anyhow, that's my rant for the night, because just not a hardball guy, never have been, never will be.
Yeah.
So have a great night.
Appreciate it, Steve. Mr. Bearcat, Steve, coming on in. Thank you, sir. Yep. Matt says, I think it's a bigger issue that Michigan or any other big brand can go buy players off of smaller brands. That kills Greg's Gophers more than this does. Yeah, in the NIL, going after a player that's on a team that hasn't gone in the transfer portal, that's a problem. That's a problem in college football, and the Big Ten knows about it. I mean, the Big Ten, at least we haven't heard really stories about Big Ten schools doing this to each other. But again, Minnesota knows the NIL issue. They know they have an issue. Most schools have an issue. They can't keep up with. They know it. The problem with this is, in 2022, 2021, no, they didn't know that Michigan had this advantage. They didn't know. It was unknowable. Nobody. That's no matter which way you slice it, it's Michigan taking advantage. Taking advantage. And this was not a little scheme. This happened over and over and over and over again. And they were succeeding. And they kept going. They kept growing it. John, kick Michigan out of the Big Ten and bring in the Irish. Super chat. Thank you so much, John, once again, for your generosity to the program. I know Michigan's going to get upset. Fans are going to call for Michigan, whatever. This is going to be, thank you. It's going to be a mess. Thank you, John, for the super chat. I appreciate it very much. O'Toole sent me the direct message. Let me see what I can do here. Holy smokes, I got a lot of stuff here. Give me a moment. I'm just going to quickly go through my... Wow, I'm getting a whole lot of stuff. Well, here's the picture. There's the picture. Now, it does look like the gentleman is filming the sidelines, right? And I don't know enough if he's filming the Oregon sideline. I think he is, because I don't think Washington. One of the things is it looks like he's got a seat somewhere between the 20 and the 30 yard line. Now, maybe that angle, maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but it's not that 45-yard line spot that you'd want, 45 between the 45-yard lines. That's the one part of, that doesn't quite fit. Interesting. I don't know if what we can make of that, to be honest with you. But thank you, O'Toole. Thank you for the picture. We'll keep an eye on that. I also got some other things being sent to me that I have to keep an eye on. Holy smokes. I'm going to have to go back to my DMs here in a second. Might have some more stuff for you. Opie, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate your big generosity to this channel. You're keeping the lights on. We only go through donations, Opie, and you've been so kind to myself and Maria. We appreciate it so very much. On another topic in the Holy Smokes Theater, you said someone came and placed a set of blue skates in the TP hands. Not into his hands, but on the floor next to, on the seat next to where Tony Petitti's sitting. So it's NBC, Tony Petitti, and another seat, and the skates were set on the seat. Greg, there are two universities in the ACC that have blue colors. UNC, light blue, Duke, dark blue. I wonder. Well, in a later live show, Opie, I was able to push that story forward, and those are North Carolina blue and white skates. North Carolina, there's a couple boosters, more than one, which is important to the story. We'll get more into it as the days and weeks go on. There's more than one booster looking to build a Division I men's hockey program and probably women's hockey program within the next 6 to 7 years. This is not happening next year, the next year, the next year, or the next year. Maybe 5 years from now, but maybe a little bit further than that, 6 to 7. And North Carolina has been, I don't know, Opie, if you caught our show earlier today, but last week or the week before, we talked about how Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, went into the Holy Smokes Theater for the very first time. He's sitting in the VIP box on the left side of the stage. The VIP box that is next to Peter Collins, Florida State's chairman of the Board of Trustees, next to his VIP box. So Greg Sankey came on in. There's a lot of chatter. Florida State, Clemson, SEC, and there seems to be, well, not seems to be, there's chatter, North Carolina making it known, indirect talks with the Big Ten, and I'm sure with the SEC, but we don't have that information, but with the Big Ten, that there would definitely be interest in joining the Big Ten when the opportunity presents itself. Now, North Carolina and the Big Ten have been talking for years, especially when Jim Delaney was the commissioner. Now that Tony Petitti is the commissioner, he is aligning himself with Jim Delaney. So the North Carolina stuff is percolating. The skates were placed next to Tony Petitti on the chair, just as a symbol of North Carolina is making sure that the Big Ten knows that they know that there is similar interest between the university and the conference. So that's why the skates, North Carolina light blue. I hope I've updated you, Opie. Things are changing. About once every 3 or 4 days, things are percolating. If you missed our live show earlier today, it was about Clemson, Opie. Clemson. Take a look at it. They hired somebody 6 months ago, a consultant, to give them, Clemson, a better, clearer picture other options going forward in realignment. They hired him 6 months ago at about the time the Florida State Seminoles were talking out loud, right? Talking out loud about how they needed things to change in the ACC, or else those realignment stuff is going to be popping. So, Opie, I hope that helps a little bit in what's been going on here lately. But again, we early in October, peek around the corner, we said October was going to be a busy month in the Holy Smokes Theater, because the chatter behind the curtain that most of the time we can't really express everything that we're hearing. The chatter behind the curtain is growing louder and louder and louder. And the next indication you see is these articles that are being written. It's all connected. All connected. And I happen to think that that they're, how do I put it? Quite possibly, some reporters are sitting on a couple other stories that we have not heard as of yet. Thank you, Opie, once again for your super chat. I appreciate the generosity. Maria, thank you. Thanks, everybody, so much for your support to everyone. Yep, thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. No question about it, Mike Smith. Someone on each side filming the opposite sidelines. However, that picture really does not prove anything. I agree. Interesting to look at. Interesting to think at. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Opie. Thank you. Thank you so much for your generosity. Thank you. Appreciate it. Redlegs, why would you record a game from the stands that's on TV? I don't know. I know when I go to Minnesota Golden Gopher practices, I'm not allowed to film anything with my phone. So, and I definitely can't, well, let me put it this way. I can't put it out on social media. Can't do it. Ryan Burns of Minnesota 247, they're allowed to send out still pictures. I don't know how to say it more than I've said it. In-person scouting is a big taboo. Don't do it. You can't do it. You shouldn't do it. It's against the rules. It's too much of an advantage. It's too much of an advantage if the other team don't know you're doing that they're doing that to you. Great. Thank you so much, Opie, for your generosity. Cleveland, Greg, your beloved Gophers had violations under Holtz. Unfortunately, it happens. Big Ten having a bad year with coaches. Fitz, Tucker, Harbaugh. Yeah, Gophers had violations. And we got punished. In fact, let's go back to 1996 and 97 basketball program. Minnesota won the Big Ten championship in basketball, men's basketball. Gophers went to the Final Four. Guess what? All that has been vacated, erased from the record books. Minnesota doesn't have the Big Ten championship in basketball, men's basketball, 1996-97, vacated. The Final Four banners that were hanging on Williams Arena, the arena that's been around for 100 years, those banners were taken down. Why? Because a tutor did a paper for the Gophers power forward who was about the 5th best player on the team. That's all it took for the University of Minnesota and the NCAA to put down the hammer. This scandal that blows what Minnesota did out of the water 50 times fold. I don't expect the punishment that Minnesota got because we're in a different time and whatever. So yes, Minnesota, we've had more than our share of violations. Guilty as charged. Punishment taken. It's crushed us in so many different ways. And our university is so stringent here. Minnesota is so they're so stringent. It's unbelievable. To take a transfer football player, man, you have to. There can't be anything. You've got to be above board as a student athlete on everything to get into the University of Minnesota. Yes, University of Minnesota, guilty as charged. No question about it. Okay. Games on TV show very little footage of signals. Yep. So does the All-22 tape. That's why Stalions went to these, at this point, 17 different football stadiums. Not himself, but he got other people to go for him.
Call from
JD.
JD is on the line. Mr. Seminole, the floor is yours. Look, JD, the scandal, earlier today you said this is a big deal. The scandal has only grown. Holy smokes, what are your thoughts, sir?
Well, can we take a second just to kind of put everything in its place, okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm going to say something, and this is not you saying it, I'm saying this.
Yep.
And you'll understand here in a minute. It is known in the Southeast that upper-tier college football programs, yes, Bama, yes, Georgia, yes, Clemson, at times in the past, FSU, others, drop bags. People pay players.
Yep.
And bigger programs around the country pay players. This was pre-NIL, okay?
Yep.
I don't think Bobby was paying players, but when Jimbo came in, he was paying players. But not the kind of money there is now. So my point is, there's always been throughout the country and throughout college football a little underhandedness.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody skirts the rules. People try to steal signs in games and so on. Pay attention to what we're seeing on these video clips. You saw the one from the Ohio State game last year, Michigan, Ohio State.
Yeah, I did.
And they're calling for a pass.
Yes.
Notice in most games, you notice that the defensive sideline is looking at the lineup on the field and how they line up to call the play.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Or how they're all positioned, whether they're 3 wide, 4 wide, whatever.
Yeah.
They're not even paying attention to that. All of their eyes are on the other sideline.
Yeah.
They're paying attention to the play call.
Yeah.
And
the players are standing behind that Stalions guy, and they're giving like reactions to what they're hearing between Stalions and the defensive coordinator. I saw one film that showed that. Yep.
Yes, sir. So that changes the entire dynamic of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's not that, you picked up on the way this offensive lineman lines up, or the way that the stance that this wide receiver takes, if it's going to be a run or a pass or whatever. There's things that people pick up on all the time. It's fair game.
Yeah.
There's things that'll happen in the game, maybe even in their play calls or their hand signals, that again, it's fair game. This was an intelligence operation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
This was espionage.
Yeah.
Is what it was.
Yeah.
Can you?
There's not. This is unprecedented. This is unprecedented.
This is like throwing games. It's that serious.
Yeah.
It's like a betting scandal in teams throwing games. It's that serious, except it was the opposite effect. And like you said, and I heard her a little bit earlier, one game they didn't scout, they lost. Or the one team they didn't scout this past year, they lost, TCU.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think Harbaugh can just get fired and go to the NFL, because if he's disgraced,
Yeah.
they're not going to let the NFL hire him. The NFL's not going to let teams hire him. You know. Anyway, I mean, how do you feel about all this? Because I just don't think he can just up and hightail on out.
I don't think he should be on the sideline again. I don't know how he could. There's enough out there now. I mean, and Michigan's doing their own investigation. You don't think they're coming up with stuff? Of course they are. They know. They got. They're I don't see how he's on the sidelines again this year. I don't see how that's even possible. And if he is, shame on Ward Manuel at this point.
Right now, and I don't know the players for Michigan as far as, like the administrators, and I don't know those individuals. I don't even know their names. Right now, I can't believe they even know what to do. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna have to fall on their sword. I mean, you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
I mean, because if it continues like this, but I mean, they don't want to. I mean, right now they're probably the best team in the country. Right now they're the favorite to win the national championship.
Yeah.
But if they admit fault, what's reasonable for them to even suggest that they shouldn't be banned from postseason? I mean.
Yeah.
You had laminated sheets with hand signals of your opponents on the sideline in this guy's hands. And the players on the field, they weren't looking at the other coordinators. They're looking at him.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yes, you're right. I saw it.
Anywhere where he was, that's where they looked. I don't know. That's like having the answers to the exam. And it's the same correlation. You go into college and you're taking a final exam and you steal the answer sheet, or the answer code, answer key. And it's the same thing.
And son of Sarek brings up a good comment. I brought this up last night, or whenever I had my show, last night. Son of Sarek, any truth to the rumor that casinos notified the NCAA after irregularities with bets and results on the Michigan games? I don't have that report, Son of Sarek. If you do, please send it to my DM on my Twitter. I did bring up the gambling aspect of this. Not only has Michigan dominated, and they're a great team, they can dominate. There's nothing against dominating. Michigan, I'm sorry, they were going to crush the teams they played this year, regardless. So don't get me wrong. Michigan's got great players, fantastic team, but they're also crushing the against the spread. They're winning above like a 68% winning percentage against the spread in the last 3 years. So I have no information on this, but people doing this, they could have made some money betting on Michigan to cover all their costs and more, because they knew Michigan was getting a great advantage. Of course, we have no information. As far as I know, this was only a in-person scouting ring and not a betting ring, but it could have turned into a betting ring. But yes, bettors, somebody else said bettors were, class action lawsuits from game bettors. Who knows? But that whole gambling issue, that could be part of this as well. It is not as of this point. JD, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No. Actually, I get on a roll sometimes. You probably need to interrupt me more. I apologize when I do that.
No problem. No, you do just fine, man.
You raise an excellent point because, if there is any of those connections, the casinos are going to find it, and that's good. Because, sports gambling is now just growing exponentially, and, now they're getting more into college, and they got to root this out as quick as they can. And they will. And if all of this, I mean, I don't know how it's not true because we're seeing it with our own eyes, So I always try to reserve judgment, until you just 100% know. But I mean, if there's video evidence, my gosh.
Yeah.
So at this point, man, I feel bad for Michigan fans, but somebody's got to be made an example of. And if people say that everybody does it, well, then they need to rat out everybody.
Yeah.
If FSU did it, if FSU does this, which there's no indication that they do, they got to rat us out.
Yeah.
And it just is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But anyway,
I
just
sir.
wanted to offer that. But I appreciate it, and like I said, enjoy your show.
Appreciate it, man. JD, Mr. Seminole, PATC Seminole. Appreciate it, guy. All right. A lot of great comments. T-Ducks, Genetic 56, serious conversations of Jim Harbaugh having coaches last game at Michigan. Major talk of an incoming suspension. That may be happening, but Genetics 56 is the very last person that would know. But I would say I don't see how he can be on the sideline again. He's got to be suspended without pay at this point. But the official word that person in your comment would be the very last person who would have any idea if that was happening or not. Man, a lot of great comments. Matt says, guys, I'm a Buckeye fan and I think everyone's overreacting. Well, Matt, I tell you what, the news keeps getting bigger. The story keeps getting bigger. And if you talk to anybody in college football, almost anybody, this is a distinct advantage to do in-person scouting when your opponents are not doing it. So it's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal. On top of the fact that Michigan coach is already under investigation for something else that he did in regards to the hamburger and recruiting and what have you. Mike Smith is, I think Michigan and Harbaugh will come to the conclusion that it's time for Jim to voluntarily resign from Michigan. I don't know about that. How much is Jim owed in his, I don't think so. I don't think he's going to voluntarily resign. If they get rid of him, they're going to be owing him a lot of money. They're going to try to do for cause, and then Jim is going to go back and forth, and they'll settle for 50%, something like that. I don't think Jim's going to voluntarily resign. Rick Olsen says there should not be punishment until all the evidence is presented. True, but there is a timing issue to this. This is a competitive, you put your opponents at a competitive disadvantage. This is more than just a recruiting story about a team illegally dropping off a bag of cash pre-NIL. This is a different story. This is a different story. This is about competitiveness. This is about something that looks like was very elaborate, complex, dealing with a lot of money when you add it all up. So it's a timing issue. Should Michigan be rewarded? At the very least, Jim Harbaugh should be suspended by the University of Michigan with pay. But get him off the sidelines. He can't be there. How can you be there? After all that we know right now, and more is coming, how could Michigan, not the Big Ten, not the NCAA, but how could Michigan have him still be on the sideline? Great for Trojan. They were working on an extension before the news broke. You're absolutely correct. If the NCAA is leaking this info so far, they have twice or more evidence they've held back. They don't leak this without evidence to put it in a bed. That's a great comment, Mike, but I think the leaks are coming from all over the place because this was so big. The Big Ten schools are leaking. They want it out there. They're telling these reporters, now Clemson, Tennessee, Georgia, Oregon. They did their own investigation on the tickets, and then they put it out as fast as they could. That's why you have a story tonight, ESPN, Yahoo Sports. These, how do I put it? When you have some information that you want out, usually, not always, but usually you have your phone, what I still call the Rolodex lingo. You put it out there to more than one person. You just get it out there. And they ran with it tonight. In one of the articles, Yahoo Sports, I think Ross Dellinger basically said, maybe it was the other one. You know, like, we got information tonight. And we ran with it. I tell you what, I don't know. I don't know if I should go with the stuff that is... Usually I like to go through... Hold on a second here. I'm going to show you guys another picture. Hold on. Going to show you another picture. Here's another picture. September 11th, 2023. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Not really, no. Key quotes from Jim Harbaugh's pre-Bowling Green press conference. You see Jim Harbaugh there? You see Stalions there? You see that sheet of paper there? Laminated placard. It looks like it's a bunch of hand signals there. You can't really see it. That looks like what the gentleman from Ohio State podcast, the picture that he took during the game. Again, Again, stealing signs, you can do it during the game. No question about it. During the game, you can steal the signs. Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody does it. It's in the game. You're trying to pick up the other team's tendencies. But those laminated placards were made before the game even starts. Right? How do they have all that information? Because of in-person scouting. He sure looks Jamie Thornton. He sure likes it. It sure looks like he's very close to the head coach who wouldn't know. Jim Harbaugh doesn't know anything. Nothing. He doesn't know. Remember, Jim Harbaugh said he did not direct anybody in his staff to do off-campus scouting. Yeah, there's layers between him and Stalions. Even though they're standing close to the next sideline, Jim doesn't have to tell Stalions to do that. But Jim, where do you think Stalions is getting that information that's on a placard? Before your game even starts against your opposing opponent, do you think he's getting that in the All-22 film? It's not there in the All-22 film. You think he's getting that in the game film that you get from the networks? No. From your opponent's game film? No, it's not there. Not to that degree. It's not even close. Where are you getting it, Jim? Where is your guy Stalions getting it? You know, the guy who stands next to Minter, you're standing next to your defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator during the game. Where is he getting that information, Jim? And let's just forget about Jim for a second. Defensive coordinator, where do you think that information is coming from? Offensive coordinator, where do you think that information is coming from? How is Stalions getting that information? You know it's not coming from the All-22. Come on. It isn't there. I've seen All-22 film. It is not there. Either direction, landscape or vertical. You're not seeing the sidelines. You're not seeing the signals. For the Michigan beat writers that keep putting that out there, you are wrong. You've never seen an All-22 film. It's not there. So it gets down to the root of these coaching staff. They've had to know. They've had to know. They've had to know. Unless they believe Stalions is just a savant and they didn't want to know anything more, right? They did not want to know anything more. They can still win games on a level playing field. Of course they can. Yep, they're a dominant team, dominant program. Excellent program. But this is a big deal. This is a big deal. Boosters could be behind this and the funding. No question about it. The money's got to be coming from somewhere. It could be from the boosters. And it could have been all an end run around Jim Harbaugh, but that doesn't work. Because at some point in the last 3 years, somebody has to ask the question, where's Stalions getting this information? They're in these meetings all the time during the week, working on the playbook, working on the game plan. What type of blitz packages is going to work against this team? Stalions, what do you got for us? Jim did not have relations with the sideline guy. Rick Van Buskirk, thank you so much for coming on in. Oddly enough, this guy is always next to the offensive defensive coordinators, depending on who has the ball, oddly enough. And what is his job? He's a recruiting analyst. That's his job. That's why he makes $55,000 a year from Michigan. He's a recruiting analyst. And yet, as Rick points out, he's always next to the offensive and defensive coordinator. Here's the deal. This is the deal. Michigan got caught. So, breaking the rules, and the bigger this complex scheme was, the worse it's going to be for Michigan. How did they pay for it? As Rick said, follow the money. How much evidence do they have directly tying in to other people on the coaching staff, knowing what Stalions knew what he was doing? Do they have that yet? We do not know. The surveillance videos coming from the stadiums that's going to be coming, man. That's going to be a coming. They already have the evidence, over an hour-long video of someone in a seat that Stallion bought, sitting there in a 45-yard line filming the future Michigan's opponent with their iPhone. More evidence is going to be coming. We're going to be hearing probably more reporting tomorrow. It is a coming. It's like a big old train going down the tracks. It ain't a stopping. Michigan, you're going to have to suspend Jim Harbaugh with pay, get him off the sidelines. And the Big Ten. I want to end this show talking about the Big Ten. Michigan did what they did. You already have a lot of evidence. Time is short. Can you possibly have Michigan representing the Big Ten Conference as a Big Ten champion, going to the college football playoffs if they win all their games, if they win the Big Ten East and win the Big Ten championship? Can that even happen? I know time is short. The investigation, I'm sure you're going through it as fast as you can. Michigan, under the NCAA bylaws, have 3 months to come back and after an allegation like this. But the Big Ten, what can the Big Ten do? The athletic directors, are they going to go into a room and just vote and apply all this pressure on Michigan? What will the athletic directors do? We've heard reports that they're hopping mad. What is their actions next? This story is not going away. It's getting bigger. And now the scandal, the waves have gone over the shores of the Big Ten and it's gone into the rest of the country. Michigan, Stalions, he went and bought tickets, gave it to people, just transferred the tickets over to other individuals for them to go to games outside the Big Ten. Georgia, Oregon, I think it was Alabama, Tennessee. Wow. The scandal grows for Michigan. Hopefully you stick with us here, Peek Around the Corner, as we follow this story. The Holy Smokes Theater, the ACC. We have conference races sometime this week. We're going to get to our picks against the spread. And are we going to include Michigan games? Can I get back some of my losses? Some of my losses with the Michigan games against the spread. Should we vacate those losses or vacate those wins? Well, we'll do our own investigation here at Peek Around the Corner. Before you leave, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you get alerted the next time we come up live or do an episode. Please smash that like button. It helps us with the algorithms of YouTube so very much. Smash that like button if you liked our content tonight. Share the video with your family and friends. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.